Hi everybody, this is Vicky from the Spellbound Bead Company, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to make this beautiful sparkly right angle weave bracelet. To make an 8-inch bracelet you're going to need 199 4mm facets. I'm using the beautiful aqua labrador colour here. You're going to need a pinch of size 10 seed beads. I'm using silver lined crystal. You're going to need a 2-row slide fastener. I've got a silver plated one here, we've got them in different colours. You're also going to need some Nymo thread. I'm using sterling colour, and a size 10 needle. So let's get started. So I've prepared my needle with 1.5 meters of doubled thread, and I've tied a keeper bead about 15 centimeters or so from the end. We're working with a reasonably long length of thread because right angle weave, because of the way the stitch is made, it uses quite a lot of thread relatively quickly. So work with a length that you're comfortable with. Don't work with too long a length of thread, because all you'll do is end up unpicking all the time, and that can actually weaken your unpicking knots, and that can actually weaken your thread. So a length of thread that's comfortable, not too short because otherwise you'll have lots of joins, not too long because otherwise you'll end up undoing lots of knots. So here we go, right angle weave. The first stitch, we're going to pick up 4 of these 4mm facets, bring them down to the end of the thread. Now, because we're working with double thread, make sure you pull both sets of thread through, and then we're just going to go through that first bead a second time. Oops, and there we go. And again, I've got a little deep there, so one of my threads hasn't pulled through. So let's have a look. There we go. Okay. Now, because we're doing three units wide, what we're going to do this time is we're going to pick up 1, 2, 3 facets. The 4th one's already there, and we're going to go back up through the bead that we're coming out of. So pull through. Oops, got a loop in my thread, let's just deal with that. There we go. And then we're going to go through the next 2 beads around. Now, don't forget, you can make this bracelet wider or narrower by just adding more or less units as you go along. You know, if you used, say, 5 of these, you'd end up with something that's reasonably wide and real statement piece. You know, you can make it proper sparkly. So again, we're going to pick up 3. 1, 2, 3. Now this time we're coming down through the bead, and pull your thread through. And this time we're going to reposition the needle. Our next row is going to sit across here, so we need to be coming out of this facet just there. So we're going to go round 3. So through 1, just move that tail out of the way, through 2, and through 3. Okay, and there you have it. That's your first row of right angle weave. So now for the next one, we're going to pick up 3 facets again. 2, 3. This aqua labrador is just such a lovely colour. And we're going to go through to make the unit. Whoops, just got my Nymo caught there. Let's put that out of the way. And we're going to come through. And now to reposition this time, what we want to do is we're going to come out of this bead on the side. So we're just going to come through the next bead around, through there. Now what we're going to do for the next unit is we're going to connect this bead and this bead. So we only need to pick up 2. So pick up 2 facets, and then we're going to go through this one on the middle unit from the previous row, through there, and then through that one. Now Things that it's important to note with right angle weave is you always want to go around the edge of a unit, so you don't want any thread showing across the middle. You can embellish right angle weave, I'll show you that later in the video if you want to, so you can put a bead to sit on the top. And you also shouldn't have any thread crossing in this junction just here. So if you've got a thread that's going from this bead to this bead, your thread path's gone slightly wrong somewhere, so just pull it back and have another look. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put these 2 beads on to make this last unit this side. So we're going to come through this facet, and we're going to come through this one, and then we're also going to go through that one on the previous unit. So pull through there. Okay, and again pick up 2, come through and up, oops, undo that loop and pull your thread through, and then reposition the needle. So we're going to go through 1 and 2. Okay, and just make sure your threads are pulled up nice and tightly, you don't want it too loose. So again, first unit of the row, we pick up 3 facets, and we're going to go through. It's a very repetitive stitch, this one. It's a nice one to do sat listening to some music or listening to a film. Okay, and of course I'm using 4mm facets here, so it's going to make a relatively chunky bracelet. If you do it with 3mm facets, it'll be very dainty. You will need obviously more beads to do a bracelet using smaller beads. You can, when I'm demonstrating this in workshops, I also do it using the 6mm facets, but that is incredibly chunky. It's probably more of a piece you'd use for a costume rather than something you'd want to wear day to day. We've also got a video called the Shrewsbury Flower Show, which is done using the right angle weave technique using seed beads, so that'll give you a different look again. So there we go, 2 facets and through and through. Now when you've got a 3x3 unit like this here, this is where you have to concentrate and make sure you don't end up going off in a different direction, particularly if you're planning to put a pattern in, like on the stained glass bracelet download that's available on our website in the Perfect Party collection. That one's got a pattern that repeats up the centre of the bracelet, so you do obviously have to watch which direction you're going in there. But as we're just doing a plain one here, you know, at this point it would be quite easy to come this way across the bracelet, and to be honest it wouldn't really matter as long as you then don't put another exciting turn in. And again I'm just going to pick up 3. So things to remember with right angle weave: the first stitch you always pick up 3 beads, the second and third stitches you're only picking up 2. So it's only the very first stitch you do in a right angle weave piece where you pick up 4, because every other one you're connecting to a previous unit or cell, some people refer to them as. So we're just going to keep going like this until we've got a bracelet that's as long as we need it to be. So under this row again. Oops. And again, because we're working with double thread, which just makes it that little bit sturdier, just make sure that you're pulling all of your threads through and you're not getting any loops at all. So you want to pick a thread that tones. I'm using a sterling colour Nymo. You know, you can, because you can see a little bit of the thread with right angle weave, so you could make a real statement. You know, if this looked dead dramatic if you used black facets and a red thread, or some combination like that. So I'm going to keep going with this bracelet, and I'll be back with you in a couple of minutes to attach the clasp. So as you can see, I'm making good progress along my bracelet, but I'm just starting to run out of thread. So what I'm going to do, because we're using doubled thread, you can't take the needle off. So I'm just going to snip by the needle. We'll just leave these thread ends hanging for now, partly so we know where to rejoin in a new thread, and partly because we don't want to, because you're going through the beads on right angle weave quite a lot, you don't want to add in any knots where you might have to go back through again. And until you're finished and sure about where you're going, it's always better to just leave the thread ends, don't finish them off. So I can do is I can take this keeper bead, my very subtle keeper bead, off this end of the bracelet and attach it to the new thread here. Again, leave yourself a decent tail to weave back in with. If you leave yourself like an inch and a half, it's just going to make your finishing off harder, so you don't need to worry about doing that. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the thread path that I would have been following anyway and come through, and there I am, ready to start the next section with, or continue with the next section on my bracelet. So we've got 1, 2, about 3 inches, so I've got another couple of inches to go. 1, 3 here. So again, just oops, keep an eye on your tension here, because this first row is going to be a little bit loose, so you might just need an extra finger or two there for a sec, just to hold that tight. So, and as you can see there, we're just going to make sure I've got all these tails tucked away, tuck them around my finger out the way. Okay, and we're just going to carry on there in exactly the same way as we were. So just keep on, oops, make sure that everything's nice and even. There we go. Ooh, squeaky. So, and come down. And through. And then we're just going to carry on for the rest of the length of the bracelet. So might have enough thread here, might have to do in another joint, we'll find out when we get there. So as you can see, I've got the full length of the bracelet ready now, so I'm just going to add the clasp. I'm using a 2-row sliding clasp. Make sure that when you check the length of your bracelet that you take into account the clasp is going to add a little bit of length. So as you can see, in this case it's roughly a row, so just bear that in mind when you're coming to put the clasp onto the end. So I'm using some size 10 seed beads, and what I'm doing is I'm coming out of this middle between these 2 rows of beads just here. So I'm going to pick up some size 10s, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I've got 4 there. And I'm going to go through the loop on this clasp. Now this is a magnetic clasp, so just be careful because your needle will stick to it, so just take your time with it. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to pick up 2 seed beads, and then we're going to come back down through well, it's the second seed bead that we picked up, and then we're going to pick up 1 more seed. Whoops, there we go, and we're going to go through the next facet on that top row there. Okay, so keep pulling that all the way down and just do that, and then we'll do the same on this side. So we're going to pick up 2, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to go, oops, lost a seed bead there, 4, through the loop on the clasp, and that's where the magnet is, that end, through the loop, and again pick up 2, go through your bead, pick up 1, and then go through the facet on the end. Okay, now we're still working with double thread here, but as we're going through these loops, whoops, just make sure you get everything caught and pulled through. So we're just going to reinforce this. We'll come up and across. There. Now, I'd like to do this bit with the thread closed to start with, just so that I make sure that I'm sewing the right end of the clasp to the, so that I'm sewing it in the correct direction. So again, we'll pick up 4, and we'll go 3, 4, and we'll go through that loop there, and pick up 2, and through, and through. Right, and now I'm sure I've got that clasp in the right place. I'm going to unfasten it because it'll make it much easier to make sure that this end's nice and tight, which it isn't at the moment here. So pull that through, and just make sure it's nice and tight, and then again we'll do the second end. So we'll pick up another 4 beads, 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll go through the loop, pick up 2, 1, 2, come down through, pick up 1 and through, okay, and just make sure everything's nice and tight. It's just come a bit loose because that end's unsecured there. Okay, so there's that end there, and again we're going to finish off the threads. So make a knot, move away through a few beads, and through again, and another knot, and through there, and then we'll nip that one off. Okay, so get rid of that thread there, and then we need to finish off these other thread ends. So let's start with this loose one here. So now you can either finish these thread ends off singly, or do what I'm doing here and finishing them off double. So I'm threading both tails through the needle at once, which when it works first time makes you look really impressive. Okay, so just work out where your threads come in, so you don't want to go back through and undo your stitch. So come through and then tie a knot there. Okay, and then we'll go through here and we'll tie another knot there, and come through and through and snip, and you're just going to continue doing that with the rest of your your threads that you've got. So I've got one to finish off there, one here and one here, and that will be my beautiful bracelet ready, done in time for Christmas.